When we last visited the story of Bungie and Destiny 2, it was several weeks ago following the bombshell announcement that after roughly 12 years, Destiny was coming to an end. Now, since that time, Sony's State of Play was flooded with Destiny 3 emotes. The D3 petition is nearly to 400,000 signatures. Pete's probably picked up another dozen classic cars. And as of yesterday, despite all the community support, Sony delivered the death nail, axing the entirety of the Destiny 2 team at Bungie. This has been a wild and saddening 2 weeks, and for the many millions of Destiny fans out there, it's a tough pill to swallow. There's so much to run through, from Bungie's last goodbye, what's next for Bungie, and some of the community's pushback to the news. So, let's get started. Starting back on June 17th, we saw this report surface from French journalist Sylvain Trianel, stating that, according to his sources, Bungie would be seeing massive layoffs following the end of Destiny, with a reported 50% cut to the studio's workforce, including permanent staff and contractors. We saw earlier warnings from both Bloomberg's Jason Schreier and Forbes' Paul Tassi, and although at the time they were not putting percentages on the amount of Bungie staff that were in danger of being let go, both mentioned that the cuts to personnel would be significant. Of course, in between those reports and today, Destiny faithful organized a server slam to coincide with Destiny 2's last update, Monument of Triumph, on June the 9th. On Steam alone, Destiny 2 saw player counts in excess of 165,000 concurrents, not including console, and in reality, the total player counts logging in for D2's last update were significantly higher than this, as according to this tweet from Paul Tassi, Destiny was usually around a 4-to-1 ratio between PC and console. So, if it were seeing 165,000 on Steam, based on that ratio, Destiny 2 was actually seeing an immense amount of action between both platforms. Even now, at the time of this recording on a Friday morning, Destiny 2 is still seeing decent player counts, currently at 66,235 players online, with a 24-hour peak of 86,609. Again, not including consoles. And for many developers, these are the kind of player counts you could only dream of. But for Bungie and Destiny 2, despite all the players and all the community sentiment, Sony was coming. And from what we saw yesterday, it ended up being a bloodbath. First, we saw this message arrive from the official Bungie Twitter account that read, "With great sadness, we are announcing a reduction in force as we reorganize Bungie. As the leaders of Bungie, past and present, we recognize Destiny 2 fell short of expectations these past several years. Following our final content update to Destiny 2, and with our future projects still in early incubation, we unfortunately could not continue operating at our previous size. We know this decision has a profound impact on the people affected, their families, friends, and teammates. While these changes are necessary to best position the studio now and for the future, that does not lessen the difficulty of this moment or the impact it has on those affected. Later, we will share more about that future with you all, but today is not that day. Today, we wish to extend our gratitude and compassion to every member of the Bungie team who has been impacted, and to those who remain, we hope you will do the same. Bungie." As expected, reactions to this message ranged from an outpouring of love to outright anger. Here's one that reads, "We all knew it was coming, but it still doesn't hurt any less to read. Heart goes out to all affected." And this post was actually echoed hundreds, if not thousands of times through the total reactions of this announcement from Bungie. Others, though, pointed squarely at Bungie's upper-level management, centering their blame not on the passionate dev team, but on the poor decisions and mismanagement that has plagued Bungie Studios for years. Destiny 2 fell short of expectations these past several years. Counter-argument. Upper management fell short of everyone's expectations and only looked to filling their wallets in the short term versus listening to the devs and fans to have a long-lasting product. This shit sucks. Whichever way the post came rolling in, many within Bungie wanted to make it known that what happened was not due to the players, as this IGN article spells out. Quote, Bungie communications manager says Destiny 2 fans shouldn't blame themselves for game coming to an end. Quote, no matter the future, we will always have these memories. Dylan Gaffner, aka DMG04, the lead comms manager at Bungie, went on to post this message to the fans. Quote, could I do more? You all have done more for this game and our studio than could ever be imagined, and no words can accurately depict how lucky we are to have shared these worlds with you. Don't blame yourselves or think you should have done more. This is just the way it goes sometimes. No matter the future, we will always have these memories. Destiny is a franchise that has been with gamers, again, for nearly 12 years, and to receive the news that it was over sent a shockwave throughout the gaming world. Made none the easier when we saw this message from Sony Interactive Entertainment posted yesterday, June 25th, titled An Update from PlayStation Studios. Dear team, I want to share a difficult update regarding Bungie. We have made the decision to reduce Bungie's workforce, affecting a significant number of employees, including most of the Destiny team and some Marathon team members. There are also reductions across SIE teams that support Bungie's operations. Those impacted at Bungie and within SIE are being informed today. This is painful news, especially for talented colleagues whose roles have been eliminated. This decision was made only after extensive discussion and careful consideration, and I want to provide some context on how we arrived here. Over the past several months, together with Bungie's leadership, we reviewed the studio's long-term direction, development priorities, resource needs, and role within our broader portfolio strategy. We explored multiple alternatives before concluding that a reduction was necessary to align the studio's resources with its current priorities and long-term goals. As Bungie recently shared in its Destiny 2 update, the studio has begun a new journey following the release of the game's final live service content update. What Bungie has accomplished with Destiny over the past decade has been truly remarkable. The franchise has left a lasting mark on players and the industry, and everyone who contributed to its success should be proud of what they helped create. Marathon remains an important part of our portfolio, and we will continue to support the team as they build on the strong foundation established in Season 1 and 2, and as they work on incubation efforts for future projects. While it's too early to discuss, we are encouraged by the creativity and opportunities that lie ahead. Our immediate priority is supporting affected employees through this transition. We are providing transition support and, where possible, working to identify opportunities across SIE and our global network of studios. I want to sincerely thank every affected employee for their hard work, creativity, and contributions to Bungie, SIE, and the broader gaming community. I know today's news is deeply difficult, not only for those leaving, but for those colleagues and friends that remain. Please take the time you need to process this news and support one another. Thank you for your resilience and continued support during this difficult time. Herman Holst, CEO, Studio Business Group. Of course, what was not known at the time was just how severe those layoffs were going to be for Bungie. But as it came to be public through this Washington State Employment Security Department WARN, or Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Post, Bungie is listed with a beginning separation of July the 9th, 2026, and you can see it says numbers of affected workers, 292. What's not known is if this will be the final cuts or if workers that were moved from Bungie into Sony departments were saved from this notice, but according to all the reports that are now surfacing, this was pretty much the entirety of the Destiny team, all gone within weeks of shipping their final update. At the time of the layoffs, Bungie was said to be running with a staff of roughly 800 employees, so the claimed 50% cuts that were coming to the company ended up not being that far off, leaving, roughly 400 employees left to keep the work on Marathon moving forward. Now, not that I want to turn this into a Destiny versus Marathon showdown, but it seems very illogical to sacrifice your decade-plus long beloved franchise and your heavy hitter in Destiny 2 to then saddle the entire future of the studio onto a live service game that for all intents and purposes is not performing well at all. I mean, overall, it seems like the illogical move, even for Sony. You see, if we take a look at the Steam charts, Marathon currently has just over 5,600 players online with a 24-hour peak coming in under 10,000. And unlike Destiny, where the reported player count split is 4-1 in favor of consoles, Marathon is rumored to be the opposite, with PC making up the bulk of its player base. And if that's the case, sub 10,000 player counts is not going to sustain a studio with 400 employees for very long. Again, raising the question why Destiny 2 was closed and Destiny 3 was never greenlit, considering it was the long-time revenue generator for Bungie. Of course, we've recently learned that within those that are leaving Bungie is Justin Truman, who is stepping down as the head of the studio after taking over for Pete Parsons. And this was reported by Jason Schreier of Bloomberg, with 𝗵𝗂𝗃𝗀𝗃, former VP of Operations at Bungie, now stepping in to fill that vacancy. Stepping down from a company that is going through a devastating round of layoffs is interesting enough, but doing so from a company that for all purposes is still valued somewhere around $3 billion is something else. And it does make one wonder what happened to bring about that change. Was it voluntary, or were there corporate politics involved in the back rooms? But the fact of the matter is that alongside the massive wave of layoffs, Bungie has once again shifted to a new leader at the helm. However, we just learned there was one very high-profile name in terms of Bungie that was found in that list of 292 now ex-employees on the WARN notice, that being Jason Jones. Now, Jones was listed as the Chief Vision Officer at Bungie and was one of the founding members of the studio. Alongside Alex Seropian, Jones co-founded Bungie back in the early 1990s. Between these two, Bungie began that long road up to today. Nothing has been made public yet, and there's no confirmation that Jones still retained the title of Chief Vision Officer at the time this notice was filed, but with his name among the 292, it has led to whispers and speculation within the community that this is it for Bungie and that Sony will systematically push them over to the brink of extinction. All that's left now is the aftermath. Hundreds of employees spread across the breadth of the Destiny team, along with colleagues over at SIE, possibly their media team that assisted Bungie with their trailers, and of course members of Marathon's team are on the recent round of cuts. Message after message has hit Twitter from ex-Bungie employees thanking the community for their time they've spent in the Destiny universe, and also now unfortunately looking for work elsewhere. It's brutal to see, but this is the gaming landscape in 2026. We've seen it across Sony. We've seen it in action right now with Xbox, and here with Bungie and Destiny, a game that once seemed too big to fail, but has now come crashing down due to a multitude of factors. Was it due to mismanagement? Was it due to the long development cycles and high burn rates for the studio? Or was this just franchise burnout? Well, of the three, I'd say that burnout was probably the least of their concerns. You see, when Bungie was properly led and funded, they produced some incredible content, as evidenced with how well the final shape was received. Though, I think for a lot of players, they saw that as the natural end to Destiny 2 and wanted to then move on to whatever lay after that, possibly Destiny Classic, Destiny Infinity, or even Destiny 3. If I had to bet on the majority cause, it would come down to, in small part, the development times and high cost to make the game, with a heavy smattering of upper-level mismanagement and company direction. But yeah, as we stand today, Bungie is now down to a quarter of their once vaunted workforce, and they've got nothing outside of Marathon to hang their future on. And according to Forbes' 𝗵𝗂𝗃𝐶𝐸, incubation projects may be in the works, but at least to his knowledge, nothing has been greenlit, meaning that if there were something like a Destiny 3 in the pipeline, it would be some many years away from ever seeing the light of day. And that's assuming that all of the talent that Bungie has cultivated over the years were still around to even make it. As I kind of wind this thing down, I wanted to say, as someone that was there day one and logged thousands of hours in Destiny 1 before moving on, I've never truly lost interest in this fascinating universe, and to see it officially closing down and its developers shown the door, it really hits home how fleeting even surefire bets can be. If you happen to like the video, please hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell. Thank you to all of our amazing channel members. And until the next one, this is 𝐓𝐡𝐻𝐿BuzzLitebeer, signing off.